The 7 short-term trend lines are very powerful within the DTVB system. If you're not familiar with their effectiveness or you don't understand the situation, let me tell you that we have basically 3 groups. We have the trend, those 3 lines, they call the trend trio. Those 3 lines stick together, yellow, pink, and blue. They are wider lines. They're drawn in wider. We simply do it that way to identify slower moving lines. The other 2 groups are power, orange and green, and swing, red and green. Those 7 lines make up the short-term trend line, or trend lines. They also make up the power that we see in short cycle movements. You have the master long-term trend line that we created, and that's the blue dash line on the candle chart. When we created that, we basically did it out of a exponential average. And the long-term trend line is good to know, but for anybody that trades, you really need a faster time frame, or what we refer to as the short-term trend lines. We tried to create one line like we did with the master long-term trend line, but found that we could not effectively do that with the different elements that we discovered. And so we made a decision to use 3 of those elements and form 3 separate groups. And that, if you're not aware of it, the trend trio is faster than the other 2, and when trend trio starts going up, it's telling you about the start of an uptrend. The other 2 will not move that fast, and obviously the other way as well. Now, when you look at the chart, you can glance at the lines and you can see where they're at, and it takes a while to do that. But I am really excited about the radar screen and its ability to give you information extremely fast. And not only that, the radar screen is live. Whatever's happening now, that's what the radar screen is telling you about. And you may have watched other radar screen videos, because I've created 8 different master radar screen indicators within the system. And when I did videos on some of the others, I commented on the 7 short-term trend lines as part of what I look at with the other indicator, with the other master indicators analyzed or being viewed. And so in this particular case, I have in the red and green column, there are 5 columns. In this column right here, the trio is represented by trend yellow. Yellow is the closest one to 0 when it is above 0, and it's the closest one to 0 when it's under 0. So I chose to use trend yellow in this one. When the yellow is going up, the blue and the pink are also going up, and vice versa. They all go up at the same time. They all go down at the same time. They all cross over 0 at the same time and under 0 at the same time. And so you have an ability to look at whatever your whatever your symbols that you want to pick. You can pick a group of 100 or 300 or 500 symbols and just run several groups together and literally analyze thousands of indicators in a very short time. When you have the essence of the master radar screen 7 short-term trend lines indicator is that when you have a red box, the indicator line is going down. When you have a green box, the indicator line is going up. And when you have white text, that means you're above 0. My logic there was thinking of clouds in the sky. And so white text is above 0 and dark red text is under 0. And so you can look at this radar screen on that symbol and you can see if excuse me you can see if the indicator lines are all going in the same direction, or if trend trio is starting to go and the others aren't. Like for example, on this one right here, I'm going to go down one line and then talk about it. On the line above this line, this would be LILA, trend trio is green, and power green has just started to go up, and the other 3 are red. So there's a good indication just by looking at this chart right here that you're in the start of a possible uptrend. So down here on this one right here, the line above this one, you have 5 green boxes. 5 green box color alerts that tell you all 5 lines are going up. If you had a red spike on that with that indicator, that would be a fantastic opportunity to buy that for a long buy next day. Because typically it's going to go up. Now obviously there's going to be other faster moving lines that are going to give you more information, and so you may want to hold off on when you buy it. But in a situation like this, it's obviously not a gap purchase, or at least not from looking at it this way, and so you would logically buy it the next morning, and you would buy it when you hit the cycle bottom. And so this is what the 7 short-term trend lines are about on the radar screen. When you use them in combination, like for example, the divergent indicator is right next to it, and that indicator is 10 or 12 columns wide, and that will give you, those two together will give you a lot of information. And the way that I like to add it or work it is I also put up the down touch, or if you're going the other way, the up touch indicator. And basically down touches react and reverse back into an up, either up gap, up trend, or next day up. And so putting 3 or 4 of these indicators together on one screen, or maybe you put it together with 2 monitors sitting side by side, and you can stretch that thing out and have quite a few indicators running and identifying what's happening with your symbols. You can examine hundreds of indicators in a relatively few minutes, very short amount of time. And then you can plug in the next group. You could throw on another 300 or 400 symbols, and you could analyze thousands of symbols in less than an hour. And find really good opportunities. And that's what the secret is. You can talk about the 3 powers of the system, the indicator power and the formula power and the procedures power. You can talk about the 3 steps of the formula, how you take a pattern and verify the good conditions, and use the signal to pick the point at which you enter the trade. But the radar screen is a fantastic way to quickly locate opportunities. I mean, it's one of the quickest. You obviously have scans, and scans will do the same thing. It takes a couple of minutes to run each scan, whereas the radar screen is instantaneous. It tells you what's happening right now live. But either way you want to use it, both of the radar screen and the scanner are very powerful tools that TradeStation has come up with. And it only takes a matter of time of using them to see how powerful they are. In a relatively short amount of time, you will identify with that. Fantastic way to search.